Welcome to another episode of the Goddess Sugar podcast. I trust that you are arriving in gratitude, love, and all the magic the universe has to offer because you are very much magical. A gentle reminder before we dive in, everything that I speak about on my podcast comes from my personal truth, experiences, and journey. Take what resonates with your spirit and leave what doesn't. This is a space for exploration and not perfection. Trust your own path and let's walk this magical journey together. Before any episode, I think it's important for me to acknowledge the people and the forces that have brought me here today. Thank you to my divine pantheon for trusting me with your ancestral wisdom. Thank you to Spirit for being all things. Thank you to the universe for holding the cosmic beauty of our infinity. Thank you to my ancestors who walked before me. Thank you to my sacred guides for holding my hand every step of the way. Thank you to my family, friends, mentors, teachers, and the collective who support me in this physical realm. And thank you to myself for daring to live as the goddess that I am. Listen, my sis, I affirm that all is magical in your world. I don't know where you started in the podcast, but I figured it's time to introduce myself. I am your goddess sister through this magical journey. I know it's a little untraditional to introduce myself in like the 7th episode, but I'm not here to follow the rules. I'm here to rewrite them, okay? So, who is this voice that has been guiding you this whole time? Your Majesty, Goddess Zipporah. I want to share a little bit of my story. I am wild, I'm feminine, I'm strong, I'm emotional, I'm cosmic. I'm just honestly all the above, if I'm being honest. Like, I, at this point, can't even put myself into one box because I'm just all, and I'm just hella multifaceted. And that's something that I've come to embrace about myself. I am a Cancer sun, Libra rising, Virgo moon. So yeah, and my 3rd house is very much activated with Sag energy. So like, all the elements are just very present in my personality. So like, some people are able to pick up that I'm a Cancer. Some people pick up my Libra energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people think I'm a fire sign. Like, I don't know. It just depends. I consider myself to be an eclectic spiritualista. I am a daughter of Oshun, an indigo child, a star seed made of stardust. I am a herbalist, creative, and yeah, I just do all the things. If you know me a little bit, I am the former boss babe of Rooted Vibes Botanica, and of course, I am a living goddess, okay? I consider myself to be very spiritual, but also in the same breath, I believe that everyone is spiritual. It just depends on your degree in which you practice your spirituality or even acknowledge it. I am a life path 7, you feel me? Shout out to the spiritualists and the psychics. And that's also why I wanted to wait and introduce myself in the 7th episode, because I'm a life past 7. While I am very much spiritual, I'm also very scientific. So I like to blend both. I really do believe that spirituality is simply science that we can't explain. So yeah, and a fun fact about me is that I am a lover of sunflowers. If you know me, you know that. And I love sweet things. I love cookies, cakes, all of that. So if you ever want to make me smile, get me a sunflower or get me something sweet. Okay? I am originally from the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I am a Southern belle, but my mother's side is from New York. East Coast vibes, and my dad's side, they are more like from North Carolina as well, and like down south period. So like, even though I'm a down south girly, like I do love the city, you feel me? Like, yeah, I'm a city girl too, but I also love going to like a calm beach, you know what I mean? Like, I love all the things. I think that's a common thing with me. I really cannot put myself into a box. I just love all of the things. I am the eldest of 7. I'm the oldest sister. So shout out to my eldest sisters because, oh my God, This is a whole other episode, but if you're an eldest sister, the weight, the pressure. Like, seriously. I know for me, I consider myself to be the golden slash black sheep of my family. I say golden and black because like black sheep, not in a bad way, just like my path is very different, like I'm very different like from my family members. So, I kind of like just do things in a different and unique way. But I'm also a golden sheep because I am an overachiever. I went to college and I did all of these big things, and even when I was in elementary and high school, like I was the one achieving, I was the one bringing home the A's, I was doing all the things that most of my family has never seen before, so very much the first to do a lot of things in my family. And so, yeah, like I'm just different. You feel me? Like, So like, even before getting into upbringing and how I was growing up, before I even got into the plant world and, becoming a herbalist, becoming a plant science girly, I wanted to be a fashion designer growing up. So yeah, that was like my childhood dream. And I used to draw all the time. I was an artist. I was really good at that. Extremely creative, and I would just like have these fashion books, and all these crowns and pencils and markers and just make these different outfits. And my fashion books are still at my grandmother's house. When I go visit her back home in Charlotte, like I always look back at them and I'm like, wow, you're such a creative. And I'm a creative now. I just, express it in a different way. And even though I'm not a fashion designer, I'm definitely a fashionista. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely will dress. So it still kind of all worked out. The type of kid that I was pretty calm. Like, my parents told me I was a pretty good child. My mom always used to tell me, like, I always had my head in a book, So again, back to that scientific side of me, like, I was very much like brainiac, you feel me? But also like I was very emotionally intuitive as a child. There was things that I knew that I didn't understand that I knew, but I just knew them, you feel me? And I would be very sensitive to my environment, but I really didn't know how to explain that to anyone. So I really kept a lot of it to myself. Going into elementary and junior high, I was pretty like cool kid, like I wasn't the most popular kid, but I wasn't the kid that got picked on. I was honestly the girl that was trying to stay under the radar, you feel me? Like just mind my business, just come in here, and do what I need to do type deal. Going back to what I was saying about me being like a brainiac, like it was crazy because I was that kid in class and I don't know if I can attribute this to my Virgo moon. I don't know what it is, but I can see patterns like really well. There's certain ways that I understand things and see things that others may not. But the crazy thing is I always felt weird for being that way. Like that's the thing too. Even though I tried to stay under the radar, I always felt like an oddball. And I felt like others knew it too. It was kind of like, Zipporah. She has a name we never heard before. That was another thing. Like my name stuck out. So that already made me like stick out. But the thing is like, I didn't care about that. Like I always loved my name, and my dad gave me my name. And he had told me like at first, like when I was born, my mom was worried that like people would make fun of me because of my name. But it's crazy because everybody loves my name and I love my name. But yeah, even back to that, like literally most of the time, I was the only Zipporah that people knew. And yeah, so like that was already different about me, right? So my name is already different. Like it's something you don't hear. And then it's like I said, I will always be that kid in class and I will be the girl who knew the answer. And I knew the answer, but I'll be scared to raise my hand and be like, I know the answer. And it's interesting because now that I look back, like, I'm like, girl, you were always a star. Like, you were always that girl. You were just afraid to really be that. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like knowing you're a star, but being afraid to shine. You know what I mean? But it's like, how can you be afraid to shine? You're a star. That's what you do. And even though like my family believed in me in that way, I didn't really see myself as that. Some days I knew it. Some days I was like, nah, I ain't all that. You know what I'm saying? Nah. Other people saw it. And that's the crazy thing about your light and your radiance. People are going to see it before you even see it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how people recognize you as a threat. Like some people, they love it. Some people, they recognize your light. Well, they see it and they feel threatened by it. So they're going to do everything in their power to try to dim you down. You know what I'm saying? And like, even though I didn't get bullied or picked on, thankfully, in school, I always had groups of girls who always hated on me. And I never understood that. I'm just here like minding my business. Like, I don't bother anybody. I barely talk to anybody because I was kind of quiet in school. Like, I wasn't really getting in the conversations. Like, I would be the one sitting in the back. Like, I don't want to be bothered. I just want to go to class, go home. And I'm just like, okay, like, why are they hating? But now I understood, like, it was because, baby, I was a star then. I'm a star now. You understand? And they knew that. I didn't know that at the time, but they knew that. And again, forgetting about age or anything like that, it's energies. It's exchange of energy. You know what I'm saying? And something about my light and who I was triggered them or bothered them. I always kind of like struggled with that throughout my younger years in school. Like, I just didn't understand why certain people like hated on me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I am such a nice girl. Like, I don't even do anything. Like, why the hate, girl? Like, what's going on? But now I understand, like, now that I'm wiser and I'm looking back and I'm like, it was because you was a star, girl. So like that was kind of my story in school. And like, still, there was so much potential in me and so much that I could bring to the table. I was just always afraid to like be that. You know what I'm saying? I was always afraid to tap into my potential. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought, oh, I'm just going to kind of try to be mediocre like everyone else. But you can't do that when you're a star. You can't do that. You can't put yourself on the average level with everyone else, because the universe will definitely put you in positions where it's like, baby, you're not average. Stop trying to be average. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like I was always put in positions like that, like, or put in positions to make me uncomfortable so that I could see my own potential, and those experiences got more intense as I got older. And I feel like it was just because my capacity grew. But when I was younger, I was pretty uncomfortable as a child. And like I told y'all, I had that scientific side, but it was also this side that was extremely intuitive, that Cancer in me that just knew things, and I saw things differently. And I'm like, I don't know how to talk about this. I don't know how to say this to somebody. So I kept to myself, but I always felt kind of odd. I always felt very different from my peers, moving kind of into my high school years. I struggled a bit with loneliness for a while in high school, because the elementary and middle school that I went to, they were in Charlotte. And then I moved to the city over, if you know the area, Concord. And I didn't know anyone really in that city. And I remember being kind of upset with my mom. Like, why are we moving out here? Like, I don't know anybody. But again, sometimes you really just have to go through things and then look back and be like, I understand why this needed to happen. I would say I'm glad that my mom moved us out there, because being put in that situation again where I was uncomfortable and unfamiliar, and I had to figure out who I was in solitude, because that's the other thing that I kind of struggled with in school. Like, even though I wasn't necessarily the kid that got picked on, I definitely didn't have a lot of friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had like one or two that I kicked it with, but it's like, I think for the longest time, and I feel like a lot of people go through this, like, I always wanted like a crew, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to be like, oh, like Bratz dolls, and have like a crew, but that just wasn't my wave, because I wasn't meant to fit in, period. I just always felt different, and I am different. And so I understand now that spirit keeping me in solitude was actually just protection, because I don't know what would have happened if I would have been in like crews, you know what I'm saying, with a lot of different kids. Like, who would I be and everything like that. And even at a young age, you really don't like know who you are. You're trying to figure that out, and you can be heavily influenced. I'll put it that way. You can be heavily influenced when you don't know who you are. And so, like I said, even though I was upset at first, I'm glad I got put in that position to be unfamiliar and not know anybody, because for those months where I literally didn't know anyone at my high school and I was literally kicking it by myself, that's when I became my own best friend. That's when I really started to learn how to enjoy my own company. And I'm so thankful for it, because it's like, now I can chill in a crowd, I can chill with two people, or I can chill with just Z. You feel what I'm saying? And it's no different. So I went to high school, kind of dealt with that. And like I said, I was feeling a little lonely, and just feeling like, damn, like I just feel so different. I feel odd, and I'm like, I just want to know that I belong somewhere, you know what I mean? So yeah, for those months that I was dealing with that in high school, I was kind of just navigating myself, figuring myself out. And the crazy thing is, I also struggled a lot with social anxiety. Honestly, social anxiety is something that I didn't get over until my senior year of college. So yeah, I dealt a lot with that, and actually kind of embarrassing, but I'm keeping it vulnerable. Like the first half of my year, freshman year, I literally did not even eat in the cafeteria. Like I would go to the bathroom and stay in there for the 30-minute period, or I would like find a bench that was far away from the cafeteria and like eat by myself, because the social anxiety was through the roof at that age. Oh my God, it was so horrible. Like I used to feel it in my stomach. Like I just could not stomach going into the cafeteria with all these kids. It's loud. I don't know anybody. I feel like the whole world is looking at me. And that was a big hurdle for me to get over. And it was something that I overcame, and I'm proud that I got over it. Coming into my sophomore year of high school, my mom was like, look, Zipporah, like I get you're a great student, but you have to do more than go to school and get good grades. And that was my plan. I'm not going to lie to y'all. And I'm so glad I didn't stick to that plan. But anyway, so she was like, you have to do something different. And again, I got upset again because I'm like, why are you know what I'm saying? Like, why are you getting in the way of my plan? But no, she was like, you need to join something. And I'm like, fine. Long story short, I joined Future Business Leaders of America. If you know, you know. And honestly, through that, that's where everything kicked off for me. And again, even though I was upset before, I'm glad my mom basically like made me do that, when kind of just gave me that nudge to be like, hey, you need to kind of do more, make yourself more well-rounded. And crazy thing is, I became a member, and then I end up being the president of the chapter. I wouldn't even have imagined, you know what I'm saying, that I would become president of the chapter at my school. But through that, I gained a lot of leadership skills, and I kind of had to become more comfortable with being seen. And see, I think that just goes back to a common theme that I was struggling with in my life, is the fear of being seen. The universe put me in positions where it's like, yo, you a star, shine, baby girl, what are you doing? And yeah, so I did that. And then I became president of another club at my school. So it kind of kept the ball rolling, and people, started to be like, oh, who's this girl? What's her name? People started to get to know me, and I was kind of gaining traction. But anyway, so that's kind of like my high school story. And by the time senior year came around, yeah, I was that one with all the stoles. Yeah, big overachiever, big boss, like that's always been me. Crazy thing is, nothing against my high school, but they was hating, and they was like, you can't wear all this. And my mom is like, no, she earned it. She's gonna wear all this. You feel me? Because it's like, what? Like, no. So yeah, I was definitely always been that girl. And you've always been that girl, period. You're always that girl, that guy. It's just, you have to not be afraid of being that girl and that guy. You feel me? But anyway, going back to the point. So high school, done, over with. And this is where stuff starts kicking off. And this wasn't that long ago. I ended up attending the best HBCU in the land. Okay. Tuskegee University, home of the Golden Tigers. That is where I attended school, and I was accepted, and I attended the College of Ag. Shout out to Canes. Okay, shout out to Canes, Henderson Hall. If you know, you know. And my concentration was plant and soil science. And my whole story about how I got to Tuskegee, that's going to be a whole other episode, because there's a testimony in that. I'll tell you that right now. I went on to Tuskegee University, and I studied what I wanted to study. And it was like attending TU was such a pivotal decision. Like it was pivotal. It was critical. It was necessary. It was all the above. And I don't know where I would be if I didn't go to Tuskegee. I'm not going to lie. Because there was so much that I needed to learn about myself there, and Tuskegee was the place for me to do it. I don't think any other school would have did it for me how Tuskegee did it for me. And even at Tuskegee, besides, being a student of plant science, I went on to be a 2-time campus queen. Big period, or the crown. Okay. So, and I did so many other things at Tuskegee. And if you know me from Tuskegee, you already know. I don't have to go into it. But yeah, so I did that. And now I am in the adulting world for real. Like, I've adulted before when I was in college, but now I'm in the full thing. I have my big girl job. I'm paying big girl bills, you know what I'm saying? And doing big girl things, okay? So yeah, that's like kind of where I'm at right now. And that is literally me in a synopsis. And I wanted to just kind of give that little breakdown about me, because I wanted you to know a little bit about me as we are going through this podcast journey together. So you may be wondering, okay, girl, like, you don't went through this journey, you live in life, so why the podcast? What's going on, you know? And as far as Goddess Sugar, the podcast, this is a space for me to express and be vulnerable. This is a space for me to express all that I've learned and all that I'm learning. I really want this to be a space for the women who are on their goddess journey and who want to start their goddess journey. I think this is going to be, I know this is going to be a treasure box of gems for you, because I only hope that you're inspired by some parts or all parts or whatever parts of the stories that I tell and the tools that I provide. I just want to hold sanctuary for the women who are like, yes, I want to live as the goddess that I am. I want to, you know what I'm saying, be that star that isn't afraid to shine, okay? Because you shouldn't be. But then again, I've been in that space before where I was afraid to shine, you know, and I get it. So I want to kind of leave this space as a sanctuary for you to explore, for you to have an adventure, and for you to remember the goddess within. Thank you for tuning in and allowing me to share a little sparkle of my story. I can't give you everything in this episode because that would not be fun. But as you move through this podcast, you are going to learn about how I have evolved, have expanded into the goddess that I am today, and how I embody that through different tools of herbs, affirmations, tarot, human design, storytelling, travel, all of the things. Goddess Sugar is more than a podcast. It's a movement, it is a mirror, and it is a soft and gentle nudge into your goddess power. The goddess you desire to be, she's already within you. Here's to remembering our divine feminine magic. Stay calm. And remember, even when life tries to throw salt in your sugar, be a goddess anyway. Peace and blessings. Much love. Ciao, ciao. Ashe. Until next time, love. XOXO.